Thank you for joining me today. It's so wonderful to see you.
Same here, Alexandra. Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure, Avinash. Our journey goes a few years back, and I love connecting with you. Every opportunity we have helps me to grow my awareness of the impact that things like TomoClub are having on the in the world. But before we dive into that, we can tell the audience a little bit about our history because we go back a few years, don't we?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, so I think it's been almost 3 years now. We have been
Yeah,
in
I think so.
connection on and off. And your initial input on building Tomo Club was very, very important, very pivotal, because at that time, my idea was very raw. We were just thinking of helping students in engaging in life skills. I was even calling them uh, future ready skills or soft skills. So there was no clarity of what should be our branding, what should be our audience, what should be our product look like. I just had one idea, especially because I was coming from previous startups, that I thought that what's relevant for humans in general is going to be people skill. Because even when I was an employer for my previous startup, I was only hiring people depending on how good they talk to me or how good they articulate themselves or how good they work in a team. Because hard skill
Mm,
used to take a backseat. You can learn
right.
design, coding, marketing, all these hard skills, accounting, whatever, because of AI tools, but you still cannot develop your emotion intelligence. You cannot develop your uh, team player attitude overnight using an AI. So, and I think I had no idea all these things, and you were being very kind to me to brainstorm on our product, on our go to market, on understanding how school thinks. Because for me, US education was completely like a new subject, new sector altogether. So, yeah, thank you so much. And I will always check
Yeah.
connection.
Well, honestly, Avinash, it was my great pleasure because at the time I was working within some homeschool groups, really developing the always meaningful education model. And the students that I was working with were showing this great curiosity with games. Um, and we were trying to navigate where can we play valuable, good games that are going to teach us skills. And we were actually starting to develop our own platform because we couldn't find what we were looking for. And then I think I was being interviewed, surveyed by somebody, and Tomo Club came up. So I was overjoyed because here I was thinking I'm going to have to reinvent the wheel with my students. And it was fateful. I was so fortunate that our paths crossed and that I could be a part of that brainstorming and helping Tomo Club develop clarity. And then we had, our little guinea pigs, if you will, which was also wonderful. And then when we transitioned and we opened the AIM school, it was fantastic to have Tomo clubs. I think at that point there were maybe 3 games that had been developed when we started integrating it into the AIM school, and immediately I saw the benefit. I mean, we knew it here in my heart and in my mind when we were talking and brainstorming. I knew that kids were going to love it and it was going to be meaningful. But when we got to see the students get so excited, like, it's today a Tomo Club day, when's Tomo Club? And everybody running and scattering for the devices, and just the enthusiasm from the very first game. And even in some of those early games, we had to navigate troubleshoot some things, and the kids never wavered in their enthusiasm about it, despite just having working out some of the glitches in the early stages. So thank you, because I'm just grateful that the paths crossed and that Tombow Club exists and that kids are having this. We know, right? We know, Amnash, that the kids, they love the games. They're getting immediate feedback. They are the games are adjusting and meeting them where they are, so they're always on that cusp of challenge, and so they're engaged and it's meaningful. And the conversations that would ensue after Tomo Club, that's what for me was the best part. I loved just walking around, seeing my students engaged in the games that were asking them to make hard decisions about resources, about how to care for somebody in need, about what to do in a difficult situation. And then afterwards, we could come together and sit and just talk about how could they connect to that in their own personal lives,
Yeah.
and from that would expand their ideas, and a lot of talk about emotions, and it just wonderful things. So thank you also.
Absolutely. Definitely your audience, your students were very, I think students in general are very forgiving. I think also they're inherently very curious. So
Yes.
we had a very, like a prototype at back then. And even with the prototype, they were very open to explore, even if it was glitching, as you said. And of course, we have come a long way since then. But yeah,
Yes.
the foundation was there. And it's basically how you keep the curiosity alive with kids. So what really
Mm,
worked for us is games is um, you actually wants to improve your skill set in a game setup.
right.
And if you talk about all the other skills that we learn, whether it's math, science, reading, comprehension, there is a lot of deliberate practice that we do on a
Right.
everyday basis. Then there are tests. Then there are a lot of standardized systems to make
Right.
you are growing. But if you look at the social emotional learning competencies, there is no dedicated learning curve. There is no progress tracking. There is no deliberate practice where you apply those things. So these are just stories, and you will keep them in the head, but you don't cannot do anything about it. So I think that was our idea that there has to be some deliberate practice around it, and games works
That's,
for that.
yeah, and certainly that, that was part of my reasoning for developing AIM as well, was just recognizing that we are, as humans, we are multifaceted, and there are many domains of our growth and development, and they all interplay with each other. So when a child is deficient in one area, it's affecting their other areas. So I saw also the need for this constant attention on the development of the whole human, social, emotional, physical, and cognitive. And so, yeah, I think we both in that way came from the same place of seeing this need for kids to consistently develop these other skills that the rigid curriculum and time restraints of traditional school were really struggling to incorporate. But I understand that Tomo Club has found a way to integrate itself into some traditional models, and I'm really eager for the audience to hear about how you've done that and what impact you've seen.
Sorry. So first of all, I don't think so that we created out something out of nowhere. I think everything was right in front of our eyes. If you look at
Mm,
the way these skills are taught, it has been pretty much non-engaging. You make a group of kids watch a video on how to be a good leader or how to resolve conflicts, and even if you create a interactive narration, which takes a lot of hard work for the teachers, only few kids are going to be engaging in it, or few kids are going to derive the entire conversation, leaving the maximum kids kind of not interested or not engaged. And
right.
so that was the first observation in front of our eyes. Second is COVID also showed a lot of it was a big slap on everyone's face, to understand what the education should look like in a school. And everybody started coming back to the basics that, we cannot be just focused on core academics, and core academics will be codependent on how great a student's sense of belongingness is for the school.
Yes. Mm,
And of course, third is when we talked to the kids, they were mostly excited about Minecraft or Roblox. So we were trying to understand their psychology. They had a social element in Minecraft. So that gave us the idea that our game should be multiplayer. It cannot be single player. You cannot just play by yourself or play against the computer. It has to be a codependency on other students, so that there is an angle of uncertainty. So the gameplay will depend who you are playing with. And so there was a lot of cues all around us. And I think a great innovator or anybody who can just keep their eyes and ears open and just pick up the cues, can bring it all together. And also, I would say in the school market, in the traditional school market, there were a lot of STEM based games who have already been receiving a lot of I think positive outlook from the parents or from the teachers, whether it was math games like Prodigy or Splash Learn or Legend of
Mm,
Learning. So there were multiple products who have already kind of made the path clearer for us. You know that
mm,
games work, and it's not only just a waste of time. But none of them were in social emotional learning competencies. And traditional schools are also always looking to innovate, because they also have to be relevant. The decline in enrollments in public school has been always talked about, and that has been hitting their top line financially. So they're looking for new ways to engage kids, to make sure that the parents still have belief in the public school systems and traditional systems. So yeah, I think we can't just simply deny that they are outdated. They also keep on innovating. They are, of course, uh, kind of delayed because of the hierarchy or because the impact is on hundreds and thousands of kids. So it cannot be a
right.
decision. So you have to be patient with them. But yeah, it's been great working with schools. We have worked with all public school districts. We have worked with charter schools, private schools, and micro schools as well, homeschooling parents also. So we have seen it all. And metrics is different for different organizations. But if I say there are two types of metrics. One is primary metric, and which are you can directly observe. So it can be reduction in behavior referrals. How many
Mm,
students have been referred to the counselors, which can lead to calculation like reduction in detention, suspensions, student engagement rate. As you said, when students were shows excitement to attend the classes, that's a very big motivator for the schools. So in fact, I've seen some schools they used to do TomoClub Friday because they want to increase attendance on a Friday, which used to be
mm.
lower than the average. So these are the primary metric. The secondary metric is attendance. So if the students' attendance goes up, it directly leads to better academic outcomes. So we are creating that comprehensive report of how we are able to impact all these metrics.
Wonderful. So you're measuring the impact that Tomo Club is having in these different organizations, traditional, charter, and micro school. That's really wonderful, Avinash. It's really essential, isn't it? Because that is the point, to see the children progressing and developing in these areas. So can you talk to the audience a little bit about your matrix and what your numbers are showing? Just give us a little taste of that impact.
Yeah, sure. I'll definitely share my screen. I think that will be helpful to.
Thank you.
So first of all, to show you how it looks like in a classroom, this is how it looks like in a classroom setting.
I love all the chatter.
It's good to we always talk
It
about
is,
because
yes,
at least it makes them to talk more and
yes.
talk more. So yeah, and
That looks wonderful. Yeah, everybody's engaged. They're all excited. And oh, wow, look at all the games.
these all are games. And as I said, each class is like a multiplayer game session where all students play together to learn leadership, collaborative problem solving, and emotional intelligence. This is the student journey look like, from module 1 to module 5, covering communication, collaboration, resource management, leadership, emotional intelligence, conflict management. And these are the metrics which I was talking about. So this is the numbers of metric we have seen from our current school that we work with. In terms of behavior referrals, we have reduced it by 85%. Detention suspension have been also been reducing. But the 97% student engagement rate is the most important North Star metric for
Ah,
us, because all the other metrics
yes.
are like a byproduct of this, I think. And the schools that you work with, they do these standardized SCL competencies surveys, uh, formative and summative, at the starting of the semester and the end of the semester. They have been seeing 89% improvement in those competencies as well, which is
Wow.
high. So the numbers are literally raising a lot of eyebrows. And I think that's one of the reasons that we are able to convert schools and get referrals also now.
Absolutely. Those are impressive numbers, Avinash. And this just that diagram is making me think of something that's really important to the always meaningful education model, which is a growth mindset. You know,
Yeah.
this awareness of neuroplasticity and for kids to understand that their brains can change and grow. So in the Tomo Club games, are students is it easy for students, I'll say, is it easy for the students to see their growth?
So
Like the complexity of the game, are they able to recognize or have an opportunity to articulate how they are growing through the game process?
okay, so I'll tell you what the game flow look like. For like some schools do it for 30 minutes, some
Mm,
schools do it for 60 minutes. So they'll first play a game. So there'll be a quick introduction, where the teacher will explain that what are we going to play today, what's the objective of the game, and without spending a lot of time on explaining the game rules, we just let the
mm.
kids play for like 5 to 10 minutes, and let them
Let them figure it out.
them
Yeah.
figure it out. Let them make some mistakes because the first round there's no competition in general. But then they understand the basic game mechanics. Then we have a 10-minute discussion about it, where we discuss that, okay, what was working for you, what didn't work for you, how were you conducting the team, uh, how you were able to communicate among each other. So we have these anchor questions against each game and part of the lesson plan. And then we play again the round two for the same game. And that round two is usually 10 minutes in which they're able to apply what they just learned in the game
Oh,
itself. And because and the 10-minute discussion usually goes up to 20 minutes because everyone wants to talk.
of
Because
course.
they have this, because in a game setup, if they're talking, nobody calls them know it all. Nobody calls them, nobody pulls
Mm,
the leg. If in general, if somebody tries to raise their hands and talk in a class, it kinds of they get a stink eye from other kids.
mm.
But in a
Good
game
point.
setup, they don't. Um,
Hmm.
they talk a lot, and then they apply those learnings in the round two. So the round two gets very competitive. It becomes because there's a leaderboard as well, but they're able to understand how it's working. So sometimes if some team is performing exceptionally well, what the teacher is going to do is make them sit with other set of folks and ask them to repeat what, if they're so good at the game, why don't you work together with a new set of kids and work it out.
Mm,
So they're able to see that they're able to communicate better, they're able to strategize better, and we can see that for the students as well. But apart from that, we do assessments also, which is more data driven assessment. But qualitative assessment is right in front of the students behavior, this. So
yes.
there's few stories, especially in after school when our product has been used in, like, we are of course an in school curriculum, but we are also used for after school. So some students are like, I don't want to do it, too cool for it. So they'll be like sitting in a corner, or they'll be like doing something themselves. But when they see that kids are having fun, they tend to slowly give a peek, and then they're like, yeah, I want to play the next round. And so within couple of round, they're like, I want to try. So I think that curiosity starts build up, and so they can see those kids who are kind of disruptive. It's easy to label them kind of
Mm,
troublemakers. They also start to be much more cooperative, which is a great comfort for teachers. They're like, ha, I could not get him do anything, and now he is talking and he's sharing, and that reflects in not just that class but then entire day, in whether it's math, science, or English, or any subject.
I was just going to comment on that, Avinash. That's such a really a beautiful experience for the child and the adults that are engaging with the child, because it's like the 4 minute mile story. Like sometimes kids don't even know what they're capable of until they break through some barrier that they have, and we know they have barriers for all kinds of reasons. Many times they just need the time and space to overcome. So I'm just loving the story of seeing kids being able to observe their peers having a good time, and when they're ready navigate towards it and see, get a glimpse of it, and sort of just be pulled into it naturally.
Yeah.
And the fact that they are reflecting through level one and level two and directly applying what they are learning from their peers and from the teacher, the facilitator, this is this is really the most powerful part for me to see for the kids, because many times in the school, traditional school model, they don't have that opportunity to learn something and apply it. Many times the application comes down the road, or never. It's just tested, the knowledge is just tested. But to be able to hear, like, well, what strategy did you use, and then here's the game again, let me try that and see. It's really inspiring, Avinash. I mean, it's joyful and wonderful. And please tell us another.
Okay. I think what has been a very simple and obvious decision making for the schools is when parents come back to the school, and in the parent teacher meetings and all, and then they're sharing that my kid has been started to talk a lot more in the on the dinner table. They're sharing stories.
Oh,
So for them, for the school leader, it becomes like a deal breaker that if the parents are coming back and reporting something, it's so much easier for them to get the value understanding out of
yeah.
it. So I think kids feeling excited about school, kids feeling that they can share what they did to the parents, just moves the needle for everyone.
Absolutely. And I'm sure that's an important factor for a lot of parents, because there's a lot of apprehension around screen time and, games, and are they, too much on the screen, et cetera. And parents are, I'm sure, apprehensive. There's some reservation about it because they don't see the value initially. But when it transcends the child's normal habits of communication and family life and engagement with school, then no one can really debate it.
No, even I think that's true. So even in screen time case, how our session looks like is it's a combination of screen time and peer time. So when you're talking to each other, you will turn the lid of your laptops down and you're talking face to face. So technically, they're not glued to their TV set or to their screen for the entire 30 minutes or 60 minutes. It's like they're taking those breaks. They play for 5 minutes, they play for 10 minutes, and then they're talking. So I think, in terms of having that healthy balance, is also, I think, has been very comforting to a lot of parents, that it's still better than, just being on it throughout.
And I have to tell a story of my own as well, that you're helping me to remember, which is the students being able to play Tomo Club. So when we had Tomo Club days in the school, students could go home on that day and log in and play again. And we had some students that had, for example, were labeled with autism, and there was a level of shyness and introvertedness that being behind the screen gave them a sense of security, to the point where they were much more social, much more engaging and conversational with the people that they were playing with. When they were in the school setting, in face to face, the shyness and that introverted nature would be a bit more obvious. But in the games, it was like they just opened up. It was like being behind the screen was like a little bit of protection for them, and then suddenly they're just popping off, and the conversations are going, and kids are making plans to message each other and communicate post game. And I know for us, when we were first looking for something like Tomo Club and thought we were going to have to create it ourselves, one of the criteria that we really wanted was for students to be able to interact with each other. Because even there are some games that kids can get on and they play simultaneously, but they don't have that engagement piece, that conversational piece, which to me is the thing that sets Tomo Club apart. Well, many things set Tomo Club apart, but this ability for the kids to really interact with each other meaningfully in real time, it's priceless.
No, no, thank you for bringing that point. So actually work with a lot of neurodiverse kids, but we don't really say it out loud in our marketing content or in our pitch, because I think it needs even more better. But so what we say is, if the student has basic hand-eye coordination, if they have the motor skills to use a laptop or computer, they can get on the game, because our games don't have high frame per second. It's not like they're gonna move very fast. Our games are much more strategic, and also in a game setup, kids from different backgrounds, they can actually work together on a level playing field. because
Mm,
even if they have learning gaps, even if they have equity gaps, even if they have some diversity gaps, that will actually be good in a game setup rather than bad, because there will be just few keywords on English, like leaderboard or player, only those keywords. They don't need to be really great at math, they need to be really great at English. They can actually be have those kind of environment where they have a much more safer place, even for the neurodiverse kids, even if they have, uh, of course, depending on the spectrum level, I can't say for all that is relevant, but kids on a lower spectrum, whether they are dyslexic, they have attention deficit, or they are of different categories, like even autism, they're able to get on and understand. So of course, if whenever a kid gets on Tomo Club and we know that they are having these kind of grades, we are able to guide our teachers, our Tomo Club
mm,
experts accordingly, because they are experts in handling kids with neurodiversity. And yeah, so I think soon maybe we are able to say it confidently that we can work with every neurodiverse kids. Right now, it depends on case to case basis.
mm. Well, there's, room for growth in everything, right? So I love that Tomo Club is open to that. And neurodiversity, in a small way, I say everyone is neurodiverse, really,
Oh,
because
yeah.
everybody's childhood, all of their experiences are different. And so everybody's brain is going to see things from a different perspective. They're going to problem solve differently, etc. So I really believe that everyone is neurodivergent, and it's just a matter of us meeting people where they are and helping them progress. And sounds like Tomo Club is in a great place to do that.
No, absolutely. If even if you look at like business schools, if when they actually select applications of candidates, for any B school, they always look for diversity. They give points because they want to bring different perspective to the
Hmm.
discussion. Even corporates do that. They want to hire people with different ideological ideas. They don't want to have all with the same basic ideas. So I think that's what game also embraces rather than discourages.
Well, Avinash, Tomo Club is very exciting. I'm so happy to hear that it is finding its way and schools are understanding the value now. And you're in the charter schools and micro schools and AIM schools and home schools. And hopefully, kids around the world will soon be able to tap in. And I know you have a free demo. Is that right? For
Yeah,
people to try it out. How
absolutely.
can they access that?
So they just need to go to their website, tomoclub.org, and right then and there is an option to play a game with your peers. Of course, the demo only allows up to 4 players, but let's say if
Okay.
you're a teacher or if you're a parent, you can have a fun activity to do with your kids at home. So let me show you how it looks like.
Okay.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
So right on the homepage, if you scroll down, there's an option. There's a quick 1 minute video which explains how you actually play the game. So you can learn that. You just need to click start the game, um, fill up this form for our ease. And let's say if you're able to play the game yourself, that's great. If you have any troubles, you can obviously book a demo, which is also on the website. And yeah, you just need to put your name, and that's it. You can get started.
Wow. It's very simple.
Yes, it's
I
one of
hope
the
that everybody out there who hears this um, gets on the website and plays a game. They will not be disappointed.
hope.
Well, Avinash, I am so grateful again for your time here today and for helping us all understand Tomo Club a bit more, and for people to understand a bit more about the essential need for us to help kids develop these social and emotional skills to communicate, to reflect, to observe themselves developing and improving. So I really appreciate that Tomo Club is doing that in this platform that we know kids love. So you guys really have that advantage that from right out of the gate, most kids, if you say, "Do you want to play a game?" especially
Yeah.
if it's on a device, they're going to get a lot of hands up. So you've removed one of the biggest barriers that educators face, which is just the initial motivation to try.
Absolutely well said. I think half the battle is won of teaching once the students opt in. And I just want to add the last point before we wrap up
Sure.
is, um, our product is a tier one product for every kid. It's not a tier two, tier three product only for kids who need suspension or who are facing behavior issues or who have certain trouble in the class. I think it's meant for everyone because to a certain degree, everyone right now, whether it's kid or adult, are facing different emotional stress at some degree. Whether it is
Yes.
uncertainty, uh, whether pressure to succeed, there is some kind of trauma, there is definitely body shaming, there is a lot of insecurity with yourself thanks to social media and what's going on in the world. Everything is impacting us so much, that we need to channelize those negative emotions into positive side. So in fact, I tell the school that I work with, so the kid goes from grade 3, from middle school to high school, middle school to high school, they need to still keep on honing these skills, because
Yes.
it's not possible that I can be a perfect social emotional intelligent person forever. These skills
Mm.
need to completely revamp every month, every year, because of the difficult situations, different situations I face. So it's always work in progress.
Absolutely.
And so we need those kind of tools which can actually keeps us on track, keeps us sane. And so yeah, that's I really want to say.
Absolutely.
A lot of schools tend to use these things only for tier 2, tier 3 kids, that hey, my kid is
Mm.
fine, they don't need to learn social emotional competencies, and
Oh.
that doesn't make sense.
No, I think if parents can get on the website and do try the demo, check out the curriculum, then that will really help them understand the value. But you're so right, Avinash. I mean, honestly, if you think about humans and as we are all evolving, from young children up through high school, the challenges that they face are also changing. From when they're a little kid, maybe wondering if they should tell a lie, to being an older kid who might feel physically threatened, to being a teenage kid who's, maybe facing peer pressure to do things. I mean, their challenges are changing all of the time. So it would be really ignorant to think, well, we can just play this one time and now leadership and now you know how to be resourceful and now you can communicate. I mean, that's really a silly and absurd approach, isn't it? So I agree with you. These skills have to continuously be honed and developed. They need to look at it from all different angles. And as they're growing older as well, their perspective will change. So every time they log into the game, they're bringing a new self, right? Because from the last time that they played the game, even, they have changed. They have had new life experiences. So I'm 100% on board with you in that last point that you made, that it is not just for a kid who displays some deficit in a social or emotional skill, but it is for all kids who are constantly changing and constantly faced with social and emotional dilemmas. And the world is not really preparing them for how to deal with them. Well, the world is now because we have TomoClub. But honestly, before it was really just we just expected kids to get it from their parents or to develop these skills naturally. And we can look around at the world that we live in now, and we can see that that didn't happen. So the need for TomoClub is ever present in our world, in the reality that we all live in. So again, thank you. And thank you for that final point. It's a very good one. It doesn't stop. It's a continuous evolution, a continuous growth in these skills. So thank you, Avinash.
Thank you so much for having me, Alexandra.
My pleasure, Avinash. Would you like to just tell people, is there another way besides tomoclub.org that they should reach out, or is tomoclub.org the best way?
So you can simply just give us a call on or drop a text also, and we'll schedule everything for you, whether it's a school or whether it's an individual parent. It's 650 plus 1 650 547 8082. And yeah, we'll be happy to get in touch immediately.
Excellent. Thank you very much. You have a wonderful day.
Perfect. You too. Take care. Have a good day.
Bye bye.